Hi, today we continue discussing the DS260, this time giving you reasons why you should not rush into submitting the form. I continue to get questions regarding this issue because of the general perception out there. Applicants generally believe that in order for their case to succeed, they must rush and submit their DS260. And even when you read on the official website of the Bureau of Consular Affairs, that is the impression you get. But that is not how things should be in practice. As I usually say, you do not approach your diversity visa case following the crowd because your reality may not be the same as the reality of others. And so for the reasons that I'm going to cite now, it is better for you not to rush into submitting your DS260. The first reason is because rushing into submitting your DS260 will not fast forward your diversity visa interview. We have said that on numerous occasions. The scheduling of your interview depends on your case number. Those who have low case numbers are scheduled before those who have high case numbers. It is true that there are other factors that sometimes come into play when it comes to scheduling of interviews, but that is not the norm. If your case number imposes that you will be scheduled for interview many months from now, submitting your DS260 in a rush is not going to change that. So that's the first reason why you should not rush into submitting your DS260. The second reason why you should not rush into submitting your DS260 is because of the possibility of submitting the form with errors in it and having to ask KCC to unlock it. Now, generally, DV applicants' first contact with the DS260 is after they get selected in the diversity visa lottery, which means that they do not have prior experience filling out the form. And when it's like that, it is very easy for you to commit errors as you go about filling the form. So in order to avoid such mistakes and having to request KCC to unlock your DS260, it is best practice not to rush into submitting your DS260. After filling out your DS260, you could even leave it for a number of days or even a couple of weeks. And what happens usually is, during that time, perhaps when you are doing something else, it will come to your mind that there is a piece of information that you did not include when you were filling out the form. And that is an opportunity for you to update the information because the form has not yet been submitted. And what I advise at the end of such a duration is that you return to the form and review the information that you included in it. You will be surprised to realize that there are errors that you committed while you were filling out the form. And that is the opportunity to correct such errors, and then eventually you can go about submitting the form. That's the second reason. The third reason why you should not rush into submitting your DS260 is because of possible events coming up in your life. And it is in this area that I receive most questions. Applicants are asking whether they can postpone the submission of their DS260 because they intend to get married in a few months' time, or they are expecting a child, or perhaps they expect to acquire another level of education, all of which should be included in the DS260. Now, there are some applicants who are fully aware that such events will take place in their lives, but they go about submitting their DS260 and then later request KCC to unlock the DS260 when the events finally occur, and then they resubmit. But that is not the proper approach to have as a diversity visa applicant. If you are aware that there is some event that is coming up in your life in a number of months' time, the best approach would be to wait until that event takes place, and then you include the information regarding that event in your DS-260 before submitting the form. That is the proper approach as a diversity visa applicant. So you can submit your DS-260 in the month of July, in the month of August, as you guys have been asking, in the month of September, October, and even up to December, because some of you have mentioned that you are currently not in possession of a valid passport, which you need to fill out the DS-260, and that it will only be in the month of December that you will get a new passport. So even in the month of December, it is not late to submit your DS-260, as long as it is before the fiscal year begins or in the very early months of the fiscal year. There is no harm, no disadvantage in submitting your DS-260. So you can submit your DS-260 even up to the month of December. I only advise against submitting DS-260 when the fiscal year has gone far, especially in the second half, because processing of the DS-260 requires time. And in addition to processing the form, you will also need to be scheduled. And when you submit in the second half of the program year, sometimes time is not sufficient for the form to be processed and your case to be scheduled before the end of the fiscal year. So I personally advise against submitting your DS-260 when the fiscal year has gone far. But before the fiscal year begins or in the early months of the fiscal year, you can submit your DS-260 without any inconvenience. As long as that is what suits your case, go ahead and do it. The next reason why I advise against rushing into submitting your DS-260, there is a danger that your case may be ended because you requested to unlock the DS-260 at the wrong time. Earlier, I spoke about some applicants who are aware that an event is going to take place in their life, and then they submit the DS-260 and then later request that the DS-260 be unlocked. But it is not all of the time that KCC honors your request to unlock the DS-260. Now, when you submit the DS-260, what you are saying to KCC is that all of the information that should be contained in the form is actually in the form, and that they can go ahead, process your case, and possibly schedule you for your interview. And so if it happens that you request KCC to unlock your DS-260 after your case has been processed, and KCC are going about scheduling your interview, at that point, they will refuse to unlock your DS-260. And it has been observed in some cases that requesting to unlock your DS-260 at such a critical moment may lead KCC to ending your diversity visa case, which means that you would have lost that opportunity because you requested to unlock your DS-260 at the wrong time. So that is one reason why, if you are aware that an event is coming up in your life, wait for that event to take place. Enter relevant information into the DS-260 before going about and submitting the form. And finally, not rushing into submitting the form gives you the opportunity to get informed. When you fill out the form at a reasonable pace, you have the opportunity to ask questions where things are not clear and get relevant answers. And that is what some applicants have been doing. As they fill out the form, whenever they get to a point where things are not clear, they go about asking questions. And what appears to be a delay before submitting the form is actually empowering them to properly fill out the form, as compared to those who rush into submitting the form, which could lead to one problem or another sometime later in the process. So remember, not because everyone else is rushing into submitting their DS-260, so you have to do the same. First, consider your own reality and act accordingly. So this is my candid advice to you as someone who has been working with diversity visa applicants for a number of years now. And with that, we will end our discussion here for today. Thanks for watching this video. And as usual, if you have any case-specific questions, leave them in the comment area below and I'm going to respond to them. And I will see you, God willing, in the next video. Goodbye.